Loading Snacks.
What's good, Loading Snacks universe? Your boy Jokes is here. I got the usuals, got the homie Gage, I got the homie Sin, and it's time for another episode of Spoiler Boys.
Spoiler Boys.
Yeah, buddy. So we have officially reached the halfway mark for Secret Invasion. We're already at the halfway mark. Episode 3. I don't know if we want to call it a roller coaster just yet, but who knows? Maybe after we have this discussion, it can be considered to be a roller coaster. I don't know if we're there just yet. But before we jump in and start talking about the actual episode, let's do the usual. Let's go around the horn. Let's do some grades. Sin, I'm going to start with you. Where did episode 3 fall for you?
I'm at like a 7.5.
7.5.
Oh, yeah.
Gage?
I'm undecided. Right now, I'm sitting at an 8 because there's a lot. This joint felt boring,
Right.
but it wasn't.
Yes.
Right. It was weird. Yeah.
That's I think where we need to be for the middle of the joint. So
Hey,
I think it's right. I think about an 8.
I'm in the same place. I'm at an 8. I like the slow burn. Like there's like you got that slow burn as we're learning information and still moving along. I like it, and it's not your typical. Obviously, this isn't your typical MCU thing where we're just like heroes, villains, and just doing like. I just love the whole spy espionage thing that we're getting here. Like I'm enjoying it, but definitely the back and getting more information as this goes along is what I'm really enjoying. So let's just go ahead and jump into the episode. So when the episode kicks off, we're in the office. I'm imagining this is at one of the nuclear compound where Gravik and everybody is at. We see Beto in there with a couple others, kind of getting their mission. We don't quite know exactly what's going on here, other than the fact that before everybody leaves the room, they each get a dossier, a top secret clearance type one that has a few different people or a person in each one of them. Obviously being Skrulls, I'm already assuming that, okay, these are going to be high value targets that they're about to either take out or they're going to become. Like, obviously being Skrulls, you must be going to become whoever this is. So clearly we're infiltrating somewhere, but we're not quite sure just where we're at as of yet. Title screen, of course, comes on, and we get our New York 1998. So we're sticking with going through different time periods throughout. But here we get to see Nick Fury, eye patch, little hair on top of the head, taking it back for him, and going to a restaurant. Looks like clearly we're going in here to meet somebody. And at the time, at least for me, it seemed like initially he didn't necessarily know exactly who he was meeting. I guess he knew who it was, but being obvious it's a Skrull, we don't know who they are when he goes into it. And of course, once we figure out who it is, it's currently who is his wife. And clearly he knows that she is a Skrull. So
yeah.
Hey, so that threw that whole thing out the window. That I was like, nah, maybe she's nah. He knows she was a Skrull. Nick
gets down.
Nick gets down. Skrull.
Captain Kirk.
So they have a little conversation in there. Trying to figure out where mission and what things are going to go. How do we feel about where we started so far with this episode? Gage, where are you at right now?
Let me start by asking you a question, Joe. Why does Nick Fury wear an eye patch? What happened to my man's eye, dog?
Back at, what was it, Captain Marvel? I forget the cat's name, or I don't even know if we call it the cat, the creature, or whatever it is. Flerken, thank you. I remember what it's called. Scratched him and took out his eye. So that's
Nah,
why.
but then he said he looked at her and was like, it's just a scratch.
I mean,
And he wasn't wearing an eye patch. And in 95, he has no eye patch. In 97, he has no eye patch. In 98, when he showed up today, I might have an eye patch on.
Maybe he did it as a way to like not freak people out or something like that. People he would talk to. I don't know.
I just want to know what happened between
that time period.
In 97. I'm trying to figure out what scroll took his eye out. That's what I'm trying to find out. Not like, because honestly, that was the first thing that stood out to me. When they said 98 and he pulled up and he had the eye patch on, I was like, he got an eye patch now. Then I saw her sitting and she just started talking to him, and I knew who she was when she started talking. And I'm like, he doesn't know who this is yet. Like, he knows who it is, but he doesn't know who this is.
Yeah.
And she's talking that talk. And my man is like, it's funny because all of what he's doing is all outside of the books, all outside of the rules. But he's still trying to follow the rules. You know what I mean? Like, when she starts talking to him, he's like, protocol says that a superior officer cannot, like, hey, Slim, they not all, she like, we don't exist.
I don't work for you. Like,
you don't exist. I don't work for you. And he's like, oh yeah. In his head, it's like he's going hubba. Like, it's like, I don't know. He's like, yeah, this could be interesting. This could work out. I don't know. Look, I think it's a good way to give us the answer we were looking for. The way the last episode ended, that cliffhanger, they didn't leave us hanging too long. They gave us the answer right away in the beginning of the episode, and that for me was great. You know what I'm saying? Okay, tell us what's up. You know what I mean? Tell us what's going on right away. And so I do like that they did that and they explained it outright. You know, because obviously going into the next scene, we have to have a little discussion. You know what I mean? So I like the setup. I like how it was done, and I'm glad they gave us that information right up front.
Dig it. Sin?
I agree. I like that we got it. You know, didn't have to wait long to get information. I like, you know, the whole Shaq and Fury, you know, like, we'll work for you type of thing, you know, and him liking that. I enjoyed the interaction. I thought it was cool. Yeah, that was cool. I've noticed the eye patch. I didn't get so deep into it like you did, Gage, but I did notice, like, he has an eye patch now. Okay, cool. All right, somehow he got the eye patch in between then, and then just kept going to try to figure out who he was meeting with. But I thought it was a cool way to start. Like Gage said, we got the answer right away. We didn't have to wait for it. We didn't have to linger. So, yeah, it was cool for me.
Right there with y'all. Getting the information was solid. I'll tell you the thing. I didn't dig too much into the eye patch. I did say, Nick got his eye patch on, but I didn't really think too much of it because the very eye patch go hand in hand with each other, or eye and eye with each other. I don't know you want to say it. So I didn't really.
I know, right?
So I really didn't dig into it as much for it. But fast forward, now we come back to present time, and they're back in the kitchen. Nick Fury cooking up a little breakfast. She thought my man he could make some poached eggs, and she thought they were like fried or whatever. He took offense to that. He took offense to that. No, these are some poached eggs. But while they're having breakfast,
she like, I forgot stuff cooked different in space. He's throwing shots in my mouth.
She say barrel shot fired.
Let me cook in peace here. Probably ain't on the space station. He probably ain't have regular home cooking up there. I don't know.
Space eggs, freeze dried eggs or something. No.
Probably. But as they're having breakfast, she gets a phone call, and it's one-sided. We don't hear anything, but clearly, Nick's got a little question like, who's that? Answer the phone, and she's not trying to really be forthcoming. She literally said, I think, one thing, and she was kind of like she couldn't do something, or she didn't have that information right then and there. Which to me, when she said that, seemed like she was saying like, "Oh, I can't talk right now."
A little bit,
because that information, if I say it, this dude right here in front of me, So ended that conversation real quick. She leaves the room. She does leave her phone on the counter. Of course, Nick is staring an absolute hole in that phone right now because Nick is Nick, and he's already thinking that he doesn't want to. I'm sure he doesn't want to think that, but it's like that call was a little too.
I was thinking it for him.
Too conspicuous.
Well, I mean, he. It's not like, I mean, before she got the call, they were having a let's call it a discussion instead of an argument, and he was straight up like, I need to know what happened, you know, or what side are you on? You know what I mean? Have you talked to Gravik? You know what I mean? Do you know what's happening? Do you know what's going on? And what side of this are you on? And she doesn't respond. She doesn't give him a direct answer. You know what I mean? But she, you know, she basically says to him, are you trying to see if I'm, you know, with him or something like that? And he's like trying to see who you are, who you become or whatever. And she's like, I tell you, I became a grieving widow. You know what I'm saying? The first time you was dead. And then you came back and you left again. But the second time you left, you did it by choice.
I was like, yep, she got you by the short and curlies, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's and
reality.
It's like, can you blame her?
Not at all.
It's the same thing every other girl feeling.
Yep.
Including Talos.
I like the fact that she did mention, like, yeah, you got snapped. I had to, you know, deal with it. You know, my husband was gone, but then you came back and you like just went to space and just left. Like, kind of selfish, bro. Like, you had a whole wife. Like, y'all could have had that conversation. You could have took her with you.
You know that she said, I never, as you're Nick Fury, like as your wife, I never question your need to leave.
Yeah.
But the need to stay, to not come back, is a whole different thing. You know what I mean? And I think that's really important to wherever we're going in the next couple of episodes. You know what I mean? And where we end up in this episode, because especially now that he has come back, because he didn't bother to come down. You know, even Hill was like, in the first joint, she's like, I've been calling you. You've been ignoring my calls. You've been not responding to my calls. So it's like, even the people who did have a way to contact Nick, when they did, he ain't answer. He ain't come back.
Let me actually go back to thinking about Talos, when he told Talos on the train, like, you knew where I was, you could have called me, but you're not calling people back. You're not reaching back to people. So
right.
What was the point of him trying to call to you if we already know you're not going to call anybody back?
Right. So as far as, you know, everybody's concerned, you're going to start having those conversations about, all right, dude who promised us this, he
hasn't come through.
Not coming back. And if you think about it, if these people, these 19 people that have been working for him for all of these years, doing all this stuff to make him who he was, they know her. If he's not responding to her calls, if he's not coming back to see her, and for real,
he's not calling y'all back,
right? And I have a hard time believing that none of them know that she's quote unquote married to
Nick, right?
I feel like they have to know that. So like,
but who knows in the spotlight? He wants to keep things secret and separate and all that kind of stuff. It could be
she up and disappeared, and for all they think that she's assumed someone went someplace else. Nah, she right underneath your nose. Wife of Nick Fury.
Hard to say. I think that's important. I think that call coming in at that time, he said to her, "Oh, don't ignore it on my account."
And she showed up, wasn't in the ring. I was like,
she was. She was
looking hot.
Very hot.
But here's the thing, and I wasn't mad at that though, because if I was in her shoes, if my husband just came back from space out of nowhere and hasn't been back for like 4 or 5 years or whatever,
sitting in the kitchen cooking like he ain't been gone all this time.
He just walk in the joint, take over the cooking and start, you know what I'm saying, whatever, come in, oh, you forgot to put your ring on, you know, whatever. And we're having that conversation about where you've been and where I am and how I feel about it, and you chose to leave. I'm not picking up the phone right now because this conversation is more important than whatever that is. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't have picked it up, but him saying to her, "Oh, don't ignore it on my account," that meant he go ahead and pick that joint up.
He's still Nick Fury. Like, yep.
She's like,
For all we know,
all
he
right.
already has her phone tapped.
well, yeah. I mean, it's possible. Her phone was real new. She had that little Samsung flippable bob.
Right.
That joint out like, I don't know, that joint kind of new. He might not have tabs on that. That might have been why he looked at that phone like that. He was looking at that joint like, that's a new phone. That's not the phone I got.
That's the one I got. Yeah.
That's a new phone, and it's a flip phone. Why you got an old new phone going on here right now?
He was definitely staring at that joint. He was definitely staring at that joint at the end of that scene, and we never go back to that.
Close out that scene. Yeah, so I dig it. But now we're shifting gears, switching over to Gravik. Gravik and Gaia having a little discussion. Trying to figure out how somebody found out where the safe house was. And she's kind of just, she's trying to continuously play it off. But like we kind of seen the hinting, like their little, I don't want to say they're going head to head just yet, but you can clearly see with Gravik, there's a little mistrust that is in there. Like it's starting to develop. So they're having that discussion, just trying to play it off. They think they took out the person that spilled the beans on it. Really not. A little while later, we see them in a car heading into town. We know we're looking to have the parlay with Talos. Have this discussion between him and Gravik. Gravik gets a phone call, and it sounds like we're talking about this mission. I did fail to mention that we did learn the 3 guys that took off that took those 3 dossiers were going to be infiltrating the Royal Navy. So clearly doing something major here. And once Gravik learns that certain things are going into place, talks about the next meetup and where they're going to go to, or where this all needs to go down there. So gets that information, spills it out, and the moment Gaia gets a chance, she starts shooting off that information to somebody. I don't know. That little scene there, like Auri was like, "Oh, this is a setup." It's just
big time, bro.
This is
the second he said that joint out loud, I was like, he's testing the ish out of her, bro. Like, come on. Like, it was so obvious. Okay.
It was too voluntary, just put out there like that. Like the setup was in place, and I was just like,
she fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Ain't no 2 ways about it. So I was like, okay, we're gonna end up. It's just a matter of when and how it's all gonna come out. But we finally get to, which looks like it's a art museum in there, and we see Gravik and Talos meet up with each other to have a discussion. Parlay. Just seems like we want to try to find the common ground, but clearly Gravik is going to kill innocent people. He's going to do what needs to be done for what he believes in. Clearly at some point, like obviously he was on board with the Nick and finding us a new planet to bring all of us to, but clearly didn't happen, didn't pan out. And I tell you, like, I've been enjoying these moments where we've had these characters having these one-on-one interactions with each other, because they get pretty intense, they get pretty deep when they're having conversations. And of course, Gravik hit a little red button or hit that panic button when he mentioned Gaia to Talos and was like, this is where it starts to come out that he knows what she's doing. And the moment he says something left, man, Talos was ready to snap.
Talos, keep my daughter's name out your mouth.
And mine, they were in a public place. So when my man Talos stood up and was about to wring my man's neck, and everybody in that jump stood up and turned into Gravik, it was like, oh, okay. My man did not come alone. Whole room full of Skrulls. So I don't know. I felt it was a little weird that after the fact that went down, they all went back to like eating their food and just chilling, like Ain't
You got to.
Not a
Just in case
damn
somebody,
thing.
just in case a regular person walks in and wants to go check out some artwork, you got to. You flex. All right, we all here. Relax yourself. All right, let's go back to business as usual.
Yeah, that was just that little, Gravik was just like, you know what, y'all, just calm down, sit down. We good right now. But he kept pushing buttons. He kept pushing buttons with Talos to the point where he gets stabbed in the hand.
Okay, now I have a problem with that. All right, everybody flex. Show we here. We deep. All right, don't sit down. Don't touch my man. All right, they go back to the conversation. Things pick up again. He stands up, grabs him around the neck, and stabs him in the hand. Like, what are all y'all doing standing there? What was the whole point of flexing that we here? We'll put you down if you get out of place. And y'all give him enough time to go over there and do that when it's a gang of y'all. I had an issue with that personally.
I mean, it's just a hand. I mean,
Still. What's the point of flexing your might if you weren't going to use it when it was time?
Because I don't think they was really supposed to be there to protect him. I think that they was really supposed to be there as a sign of like, hey, bro, nah, we really are everywhere. Like, I want you to know, like you can't, like, that flex wasn't about like I'm protected, because for real, I think everybody thinks Gravik can handle himself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because no bull, my man like started talking that talk, and Talos was like, "You trying to have a traditional battle of the, I don't know, an honor battle? Y'all trying to have an honor battle? Like, what's up?" And he's like, "You really want to stand and have a knife fight with me?" And I guess clearly Gravik was like, "Yeah, I get down with the knives. Put this right through your little palm." But here's what's important about that. That's kind of plot armor. Mm-hmm. That was done to show you that this dude's already a Super Skrull.
Yeah.
Part we missed. Like, we didn't talk about the fact that he walked all of those people who was on the council into that room and was like, "We all gonna be Super Skrulls."
So you said that, I was like, well, okay. They said it.
Did he make all of them Super Skrulls? Do all of them have powers now? Who got powers? Who didn't? Who's already been, you know what I mean? And so now, for me, the question was, do all of them folks in the room got
something? Like their little council or whatever? Yeah. Or
because he said that when we find out that that's what they're doing, we're going to attack a UN plane. And he was like, when we do it, the superheroes are going to show up. And I told you I had a plan for that. Here's what that plan is. We about to be, this. And my man got that extremist and just went to the extreme. So again, clearly that's a thing that
we know for a fact that he has at least two of them that we've seen, technically from the trailer and from this episode. We know he has two of them.
But that also shows I also think that moment was a moment about showing you that and how serious Gravik is about quote unquote protecting Gaia, right? Like, hey, dog, I told you.
You mean Talos? Like Gravik.
I mean, Talos. Yeah. Like, you better not.
Yeah.
Don't even say her name, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'll rip your throat out of your neck, Slim.
I think that's two of the things I did like about the scene. That one thing right there, like how protective he is about Gaia, and on Gravik's side, just seeing him like so like emotional, like not sitting there being all chill and just talking to people, just kind of like from the time they came in, they talked when he was looking at the paint and everything, and he's getting animated with it and all that kind of stuff and talking about it. I like seeing that side of him. Mm-hmm. So in that conversation, I like seeing both of those aspects of each character just kind of shining.
Yeah. I mean, that's a flex.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
My man really was like, even with all of these joints in here, I'll kill you in this joint if you say her name again. Mm-hmm. And like, clearly we not doing a parlay.
Right.
No, we passed that at this point.
Yeah, but my man said, man, you ought to be glad I ain't put her in a body bag already.
Oh, when he said that, I was like, oh.
Like, yeah, here we go.
But again, it also begs, like what happened to her mother? Mm-hmm. Who did it? Was he behind it in some way? I think that still remains to be seen in upcoming episodes.
Next week on Dragon Ball Z.
Straight up.
Yeah. So they had their little face off, whatever you want to call it. But after that, Talos leaves, kind of blends in with the crowd. So he can't really keep up with it. Like, even I would imagine somehow they would still be able to figure that out, but whatever. Blends in. And fast forwards us, we head to like a little pub somewhere.
Well, actually, after he was trying to blend in, as he's walking back, she's trying to hand off. Yeah, Guy is trying to hand off the information to Talos. You know what I'm saying? Which was a little slick way she did. I was hoping she wouldn't send it like in a message that's easily traceable, but through shape-shifting and maneuvering of traffic and stuff like that, she was able to pass the phone to Talos and be back to the car before Gary got there. Yeah. So,
that joint was a very obvious. From the moment he walked in there and questioned her, it was very obvious that this
extremely.
And that she was not going to pass this joint. Like, it was very obvious. It's just that we didn't know at that point. We talked last week about, I was like, she got out the car, she called somebody. Who was she calling? She called the police. And he's like, somebody had to.
Yeah, that was the questioning in the beginning.
Whatever. And she's like, nah, it was him. He wasn't as tough as you thought, or whatever. She tried to play it, but then he immediately was like, we leaving.
And also when she said, I'm a great liar, I'm like, sweetheart, you digging yourself in a deeper hole at this point. Just stay quiet right now. Yeah,
stop. Just stop. Just.
So they, then he didn't tell her what they was doing, so they was in the car on the way. We going to see your father. Apparently he wants a parlay. Apparently we going to see him about you. Why are we going to see him about you? They didn't even really discuss it. It never even got to that. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
Talos never said, listen, man, just give her back to me. Whatever. But the reality of that is, how? Let's just say Gravik was like, all right, cool. She's good. She can go do what she wants. She already knows too much.
Right. I'll kill her because I'm passing her off to you. Like, yeah. What's it gonna happen?
Yeah. Well, she got that burner to him. Oh, I think you dropped this.
It worked. Well, it worked. But afterwards, then we found Talos at a pub, chilling, eating a good old English breakfast. Nick Fury shows up, have a conversation, and I love their interactions with each other. Nick just going on my man's breakfast. Point was like, for a second I thought he was gonna say, after he said he lost his appetite, I thought Nick was gonna say, oh, go ahead and pass that on over here, and I'm gonna go ahead and like finish up some of that for you or whatever. But he ended up doing it. But they have another conversation where clearly Nick needs help, but he needs to apologize first. You kind of hurt my man on the last train ride and just kicked my man off. So I was my man was looking for a little apology and find out that I need you to tell me that you need my help. And my man Nick was not trying to do it, but he ends up caving into it.
Almost walked out.
But he acknowledges the fact that he's discovered there's somebody within the U.S. military somewhere that's high up that is infiltrated the ranks, which I'm assuming obviously is a Skrull. But he can't do what he needs to do to, of course, by himself to get this plan figured out for it. So he's got to come back. He's got to enlist the help. I need you, so we can try to figure this whole entire thing out. So after their little interaction, when they finally got his, like, I guess you could say, apology out of Nick, they get in the car, drive off. Nick has to make a phone call because he needs to find out still a little bit more prudent information that he needs. So he calls up Sonya.
I was like, hey, there goes Gage girl. There she go.
She like that, bro.
And Nick just
like that.
She is.
and Nick just trying to, have that Nick Fury type of conversation. But then it becomes funny where it's like she acknowledges, I found your little gift. your little thing that you had, and so now my statue only has the one eye, and she's putting a little eye patch on the statue. I'm just like,
she even asked for an apology from Nick. Nick like, look,
listen,
I got one of those out the day. That's it. I don't got no more of those in me.
I got a lot of apologies for the day. I already did one of them.
Oh man.
He's like, whatever. I forget what she said the name of the owl was. He was like, please tell me that is not the name of that thing. She was like, nah, his name's Nicholas Fury.
Nicholas Fury.
Has to go with it. Don't like that. She's a beast, bro.
I wouldn't mind seeing more of her like sprinkled throughout like MCU stuff.
No, she needs to survive this joint.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
She needs to survive this joint. They need to figure it out. She needs to survive this joint.
Keep her in. That's a good little person at MI6. And then
I feel like she'll be so good to go against Val. Like,
yes, I'm thinking
like,
Thunderbolts, like that whole Agent 13 and the Falcon Winter Soldier stuff. Like she fits so well within what's happening with all that. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot.
All right, we know Gaia passed the information about Neptune off to Talos. Talos is eating in the English bud, minding his business. One, I don't know how Nick found him, but clearly he knows how to find him. Maybe that's one of his favorite spots.
Yeah, just I'm thinking something like that. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But he just walks in that joint and sells my man breakfast. My man's like, you ain't gonna come in here. And I like the back and forth there because Talos really is hot. And he's at that point where he's making it clear, like the great Nick Fury needs to humble himself. He needs to come down off that high horse. And they have a little bit of a conversation about that later, which like we talked about a little bit, like his ascension within S.H.I.E.L.D. is all because of them. You know what I mean? Everything that everybody feels like he did and can work it like and Nick needs to humble himself, right? So he forces him to humble himself. And it is a little like when Nick walked away without saying what he told him to say, without making an apology, you could see on Talos' face that he's like, man, he's really gonna walk away. And I guess we're not gonna because he also wasn't going to turn around and give into it. So he wasn't going to give that information to Nick. Nick was just not going to know. And Talos was going to have to figure out
and do it on his own somehow.
He could stop it on his own. But my question is, who did Nick find out from?
Mm-hmm.
Who is Nick's person, quote unquote, high up that has this information? That he's telling Talos, hey, I got this information. You know what I mean? And Taylor's like, well, I got some information. You know what I mean? He's like, I need you. Who told Nick? How does Nick know this?
Mm-hmm. Who knows? Maybe somebody haven't shown yet, but we know his network is vast. It could have been another Skrull that was in a key position that he could pull some information from or something like that. Mm-hmm. We're really starting to break down his whole network within this series. So who knows who could have been just yet? That's one thing I can think of. It's somebody that's still loyal to Nick that we haven't run into yet, that he might have pulled that information from.
It could be. You know how, like I was saying, the president is a Skrull? Maybe the president is a Skrull that's aligned with Nick Fury. I mean, I can only imagine when he says high up. I mean, you can't go, I guess, any higher than the president of the United States. And clearly the president is going to have access to all of that type of sensitive information that you could possibly need. So maybe that's the play. I don't know.
It could have been a soldier within the Royal Army that's high up enough to have that information. Don't know. You know what I'm saying? He got agents spread, all over.
I'm just, again, but he's in a place of like, I don't know who I can trust, who can I trust. So it just seems very like for him to have that information, wherever he got it from, he had to have got, you know what I mean? He had to find that out. And it made me wonder whether or not the fact that they ended that scene with him looking at her phone, whether or not he somehow went into her phone or hacked her phone and found information in there somewhere, like she's talking to somebody.
That's very possible.
And I have a feeling I know who that person was because we find out at the end of the episode. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
So okay.
So he learns the information. I forget the name other than Bob, actual dude who they need to get to try to stop this attack from actually happening. So they go to Bob. I'm guessing that was, I don't know if that was actually his house or just like a compound. Like
I think that was his house.
That where it was.
The son was there.
Yeah. So had a couple of guards, couple scroll guards that were there, and they got to infiltrate. So Talos does it. Looks like he's gonna do the whole thing. Looks like he's gonna go in unnoticed, be able to get in. They take out the first couple of guards, so thumbs up. Looks like we're going the right direction. But then Talos goes in, actually shifts into the dude, and unfortunately, when he gets ready to go through the door, one of the security comes out and just like, I just left you a second ago. I was like, well, this gig's up now.
And then just shape shifts. Like bro, just pop him. Like, continue.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I didn't understand why you shape shift. Like, now you're just giving it up. Like, just.
I don't know.
Okay, he saw you a second ago.
You shifted it to, I don't know. Maybe he ain't got the moves or something.
It made me wonder if it's like not hard, but it takes a certain level of concentration to like stay
to maintain it.
Yeah, in that other form. Because if you like, well, who remembers, but like in Captain Marvel, when Captain Rambo was asking, so y'all could just look like anybody, and he was like, I mean, kind of, and she was like, you could just take anybody. He was like, she said something like, can all of y'all do it? And he was like, I mean, like physiologically, yes, but it takes practice. Like you can't just do it. And so
you probably got startled by being found out by Cuz and just slipped out of it real quick.
Yeah, or it could just be a second sign of like we know that Fury's getting old, but it's also Talos is getting old. You know what I'm saying? And so like, yes, he still has skills and stuff from doing it so long, but maybe it's just one of those things where like for him to be able to fight and shoot and whatever, it's easier for him to do it
as himself, or at least in the one form.
What he's used to.
He's so used to being in. It was easier, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. I do want to say before I forget to double back that I did enjoy the conversation of him being like, I don't understand the whole dog thing.
Yeah.
Tell me one other interspecies relationship where it's okay for one man to pick up another man's poop. I'm with you, like, bro. I was like, I'm with you, dog. No pets, dog. I'm with you, 100%. And then they have that whole conversation about him saying, like, nah, you need to admit, like, everything you've done, like, we did that, and my man Nick is getting hot because he told the truth.
And he keeps bringing it back during the mission.
Yeah, why you stop? He was like, cause we here. You would have known if you wasn't on we did that little, rant or whatever. So we can go in here and do this, whatever. Yeah, we can do that. Like again, exploring that relationship a little bit, right? Yeah. We've known each other for 30 years, never had the conversation about the dog. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, I just kind of let that go, but it's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they both do know each other. But there is a little bit of animosity that exists. If Talos is that kind of bothered by, like, he's like, I didn't mind doing it. You know what I mean? Because I felt like we were doing something for the greater good and we were doing the right thing. But every time you got that information, we gave you that information. Every time you stopped something that was world ending, we gave you that information. The last time you were able to prevent a worldwide war, we did that for you, whatever.
We're doing all this to build you up, and you're not fulfilling your half of the bargain. But we still show up and do it all the time for you.
When I met you in '95, you was riding a desk. You was he was like, I was a what? And he was like, I was working my way up. Like, God,
hey, I ain't gonna lie, he had Fury in his feelings.
He did.
Talos was speaking facts.
But he was speaking facts, and Fury needed to hear it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like he's allowed himself to feel like and be so. And he shows up and people just be like, "How'd you do that? Where you know whatever." He had help, and I think it's just important to acknowledge that he is a regular dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That just happened to come across some very irregular things and have a heads up.
Yeah. And
So-
use him to his advantage.
Yeah, but not again fulfill his end of the bargain.
Right.
And so getting that further understanding, Talos may be forgiving, but is everybody else, and why would or should they be?
And that's
You
why
know
we're
what
at
I mean?
this. That's why we're having this thing going Gravik now, because you didn't keep your promise to us.
That conversation between the two of them is so key, I think, and I think it's going to be key going forward, because it's like, again, we learned all this stuff that we're doing. We learned it from you. You
We're
taught us
watching
how to
you.
be spies, how to infiltrate, how to get in here, how to beat other people. Like, we learned that from you,
Yep.
That's what you need.
and
Just
now it's
one just-
backfiring on you. So
big time.
Mm-hmm.
it almost felt the same way that it felt to me when you watch Winter Soldier and they think Nick is dead, and at the end they get to him, he's in the little hospital in the little underground joint or whatever, and he starts kind of giving out orders. We got to do this and do this, whatever. And then Cap's like, nah, bro, there is no shield, there's no Hydra, all of it goes. And he's like, shield is the one that's stopping. He's like, they grew Hydra right under your nose and you ain't even noticed. He was like, why you think we talking like this? I know this. And he's like, how many people had to pay the price before you did? You know what I mean? Before you did,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so then Hill looked at him and was like, nah, he's right. And then he looked at Falcon, and Falcon, don't look at me, I just do what you do. It's that same kind of thing where, like, Nick isn't humble. You know what I mean? I feel like back then, even at that point, he had lost some of it. He lost sight of it and kind of, you know what I mean? And so that thing where, like, Cap took over and usurped power from him was like, nah, it's all going down. That's the same thing that's happening to him again, but he's even more out of practice. You know what I mean? Now,
If he wouldn't have went to space, I feel like things would have kind of been forgiven / stay on track, because they can I feel like they understand the blip. Like, you got snatched away, there's nothing we can do about that. We had to go on just without you. But when he came back, he'd have been like, all right, it's back to business. I now got all these new things, all this new space stuff I know. We're up there looking and yada, yada, yada. It'd have been cool. But just going back up to space and just not speaking to people, that's like the real abandonment. Like,
but the other thing about that is, though, because Nick Fury is Nick Fury, and Nick Fury does feel like even when I'm out, I'm in. There's a part of me that thinks that somewhere down the line in this, what we're gonna find out is that he knows that there is something that's more important than what's happening on the planet. That is the reason why. It's not just, oh, he came back from the blip and he was different. I feel like he came back from the blip and he learned information or got something that he didn't share with anybody else. And him being on Saber and being away, there's a reason why he did it. And he didn't share that with anybody. Now, it could be, I'm up there and I'm doing this thing and maybe I'm looking for a plan or I found something, but there's another threat or there's something else that's happening that I'm aware of. And because I'm Nick Fury, I have to be
let me
in
throw
that
this.
position.
Got to be ahead of
With that, let me throw this out there. Is it a possibility that he found a place for them, but he didn't say anything because he didn't want to lose his network?
Maybe.
Good.
Listen, maybe, but also, again, because I would think in some manner he's in contact with Captain Marvel. You know what I'm saying? Again, we don't know when the Marvels takes place, but we know he's on that space station and he's in that movie. So we don't know if this is taking place after that or not. I'm gonna assume right now not, right? And that he ends up back up there or whatever. But there's a part of me that feels like whatever this is, right? Even if it is some level of a greater threat, that maybe it is Kree coming or something like that, but that at some point we have to explore what it is that happened to him when he came back that made him feel like he had to go back up there. And there's a part of me that feels like it's going to be information that he had that made him feel like that was actually more important. And so as people are like, you left us and you didn't say anything, you're not answering cause, you're not, whatever.
There's a legitimate reason.
Yeah,
why he was up there. Okay.
There's an actual legitimate reason. Could be tied to something that's going on in Loki. Could be some time space something. Could be
some Kang
whatever
stuff.
was happening with Monica Rambeau and her, and dealing with that he's been up there dealing with that kind of stuff. And so what was transpiring on Earth wasn't a thing that wasn't important, just that yes, there was something else that was happening, because I don't really think that Nick Fury is just like, I'm scared and so I went to space. I can understand everybody on Earth feeling that way and feeling that abandonment, because he's also not a person who shares with anybody. He didn't tell them, oh, I'm still alive. Like Black Widow was mad at him because she thought he was dead, right? And he's detected the toxin D. Banner, got it so that, we could pretend, for himself, but it stops the heart rate. And I had to pretend I was dead so that they wouldn't know, blah, blah, blah. And so maybe there is a part of him that's like, I had to make it seem like I wasn't paying attention.
Hands on.
Because I had to put all my attention into this threat that I found that's, a real threat that we have to seriously consider and worry about. I think that the more I think about the Marvel trailer, the more I'm in line with that.
That there's something that kept him up there. Because again, like, the idea of him showing up at the end of the Spider-Man trailer, just like pretending he's on a beach, walking around with no shoes on in space, like, and a bunch of Skrulls walking around, mind you. It's kind of like, all right, clearly my man is up to something. We don't know where he's been. Why is he up in space? What is he doing? What is he up to? We still haven't gotten an answer to that.
Nope.
There has to be something. So the fact that that's the case, I do think that there's something else that's going on, that now he's in a place where he has to deal with what's going on Earth. And as he's coming to do it, all of this is kind of coming back, because he took it for granted that he had this network of people that was looking out for him, and he had no idea that there were all of these Skrulls that were there. And so now there's an additional threat that grew under his nose, just like Hydra, that he wasn't aware of because he was busy concentrating or looking at something else.
And it's funny now that you bring up a couple of things too, thinking about without trying to get too far off topic, like, in the Marvel's trailer, we see Monica and Miss Marvel fighting Captain Marvel.
No, they're not fighting Captain Marvel. They are fighting. I thought that same thing too. I watched that trailer 5 times in a row trying to figure it out. And that scene where they're fighting and it looks like she's slinging stuff, it's somebody that can change shape. It's somebody that can change, and they show her in the trailer at another point in time, but she is somebody who can shapeshift. But if you look, when they pan around, Captain Marvel is standing behind her. Like, all three of them are fighting her.
I have to go back and look at that again, because I was about to say that
that
may have been a scroll.
That
may have been a scroll right there, but because that will play right into it.
Would play right into it.
Yeah, this show is making the Marvels even more anticipated. I would say.
Yeah, again, it's why this episode. Y'all know I hate stuff that's predictable. So for me, that's why I was teetering, but it's why I'm feeling closer to an 8, because I just think that there are things that are happening here that are important, because you have to sow those seeds. So it's a little boring to hear them just kind of in the car talking to each other and talking about the dog or whatever. And even though it's good conversation, there's great, dialogue between two actors. It's really everything Nick Fury has ever done that made Nick Fury the Nick Fury is because my 19 people were in there doing all of that, feeding you this information, taking care of it, putting ourselves on the line, you know what I'm saying, to make you look good, to make you feel good so that you could ascend those ranks. But again, this is supposed to be a means to an end. And you're right, saying it could be but if I let it end, then I don't have my network anymore.
Right. I lose what I built up.
How do I do it? How do I do it?
I've stopped all these bad things from happening because I've had y'all to give me the information to stop it. So if I don't have that information anymore, I don't have that network, then who is Nick Fury?
Right. It's the same thing as him dealing with Iron Man and dealing with them and saying hey, we need people here to deal with this greater threat. There's only so much S.H.I.E.L.D. can do. You don't want to lose that. You don't want to let that go. And it's also possible, again, he lost the Avengers. They don't exist. Cap's gone. Hulk's hurt. You know what I'm saying? Iron Man is dead. You know what I'm saying? So like, they like the Avengers don't exist. So whatever he did have in terms of trying to protect the planet, the Skrulls are the closest thing he has.
Mm-hmm.
To having superpowered individuals that are prepared to do whatever. And it's like, what are you gonna do? Call Spider-Man? He don't even know who that is anymore.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if Nick Fury got a database someplace somehow. But he knows Spider-Man. Right. He at least knows Spider-Man. He just doesn't know Peter Parker. So
well, again, that threat that he was preparing for, they won some battles, lost the war, and in the long term they managed to figure it out. But when they figured it out, they had to do it without him. He wasn't there. He got snapped. Busted. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't there. They clearly figured it out, but still he was like, and I could see him being devastated by it, but he also, if his ego is that big, he could also be hurt that they managed to do it without him. You know? So I just think there's still a lot left to explore as to why he went away.
We got 3 episodes to get that information.
Yeah, we're only in 1998, so we got 2 decades.
There's a lot of time and space.
Yep.
You know what I mean, to explore. But to be honest with you, a lot of that's not really as important. It's just figuring out what happened. If they come back in the next episode and they're like 2018,
here's the flashback.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whatever. He comes back, you know, whatever, and whatever information it is that he learns, again, whether it's him being in contact with Captain Marvel or, you know, whatever it is, because remember that she's been off dealing with what they were dealing with the blip. She's like, this didn't just happen on Earth. This happened throughout the entire. She's been off world dealing with all of that kind of stuff, you know, more or less on her own.
Yeah.
You know, so I just think there's a lot to it. And this is like some of that really good insight. That's like, you kind of have to have those moments where you need to kind of get some of that backstory. So, you know, this doesn't have super crazy action like the last one had, and you know, whatever. But the things that are happening are like
very important.
All right, we're sowing some seeds. Yeah. So continue, Joe.
Dig it. Nah, you're good. All good info on there. All good info. But continuing the infiltration, you know, Talos gets in first. So he's making a beeline. Like, I'm going up here, I'm gonna get dude. And in the meantime, you know, he's communicating with Fury. But it comes over the radio or their comms, however you do. It's like, Nick, I got Bob, and I'm upstairs, like on the 2nd floor or whatever. So it's kind of, it was a little something fluke in there. But while Talos was making his
immediately,
it was. As soon as Talos was making his way up, you know, he passed by the room where Bob's son was. Kind of just, you know, wasn't going to do anything, kept it moving so he can make it to the target. So Nick, of course, figures that out by the time he gets up there. Goes into the room, but he's got Bob's son being held hostage too. He was like, once he got in the room and saw Talos was being held at hostage, don't nobody called me Nick.
100%.
And
100%.
And so
White calls me Fury.
And my man Fury up there is like, listen, you gonna let Talos go. Otherwise, your son ain't gonna make it. And Fury meant those words.
Hey, I was watching that like, hey, bro, you better let him go because he will pop your son. Like, I'm just gonna let you know.
Yeah, but here's the thing that's crazy about that. That's not really his son.
No, it's not.
So he
grew attachment to him apparently, because
I guess
however long they've been.
Where pop that little guy?
Right.
Not enough to talk. Cause he ain't talk.
Nah. It's all after, you know what? We've kind of, the dust has settled a little bit. You know what? We freed the son. Talos has Bob, got him set down. It's like, listen, we need this key code. We need this word so we can stop this attack from happening. Clearly, my man's not trying to give that Joan up. And I didn't think it was gonna be Talos, the one to really actually put my man down. Like, I don't know. When he shot dude and killed him, I kind of was like, wait, how do we now get to that password?
I mean, it's the precursor though.
Yeah.
Like, we see how he acted towards Gravik, even though Gravik had all those people when he said his daughter's name. You know what I'm saying? I also feel like that kind of was the key word of like, this is a setup. Like, we know she the one, you know, she the dirty traitor that's feeding you information.
His reaction was just
a word.
It's just
Ma, what you say about my mama? Like, he hit the old dog.
It was literally what that was.
Yeah, like he, you know, but they also, again, it's that struggle though, because Talos don't really like violence. That's he don't really want to do that kind of stuff. He don't want to hurt people. So everything that he's been able
Especially
to do,
to his own
he's been able
people.
to infiltrate stuff like that. He don't want to do that. But
It comes time for his daughter.
Oh, that's out the window.
It don't make a difference.
which could really set something off
Ooh.
in the next couple episodes,
Ooh.
because my man did that work. He shot my man. Like, my man had already been shot in the leg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because niggas was getting fed up.
I was waiting for Fury to do it. I was like, I was saying, like, just shoot him in the leg. Just shoot him in the leg. And he did. I was like, thank you, Fury. Like, come on
Good
now.
job. You know? But he clearly, he Talos isn't that person. He don't want to do it. And them fighting, you know, he's like, man, if you don't mimic Slim voice and just stop the joint, you know what I'm saying? He's like, that's when he told him, like, you think I didn't think of that? Like, he's the only one. Like, it's kind of like, don't tell me how to do my job. I know how to do my job. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Well, we're missing something very important here.
You know how long I've been doing this for you? Like, relax.
Mm-hmm.
I do this.
Mm-hmm. Don't come in here. Go be friends with a dog somewhere. Go scoop a dog.
Go
somewhere. Yeah.
But after they had that little interaction, you know, tells all there's only one solution at this point. So he calls Gaia back at Skrull HQ, and it's like, listen, I need you to go find Bob because I need this keyword now to stop this attack. Beelines makes her way. She finds my man, extracts the info. Of course, she's going through like the memories, and you see like interactions with the sun. You see all these other things that are going through. And it finally, you know, it starts to meld together what the passcode actually is. Turns out it's the son's name. Go figure. Once we find that out, Talos gets on, issues the passcode so we can stop the attack. They shut it down though. Now to mention, of course, we know one of the Skrulls from the beginning have infiltrated and is on this sub. It's one of the ones that's ready to turn that key and set things off.
Yeah, I'm glad his man was like, hey, bro, I don't know about this. Like,
I don't know about this. My man
just make a call and confirm. No, we do what we're told. Like, what I'm saying, bro. Like, this
I
is...
get it, but this is serious right now.
My man straight up said, this is going to start World War III.
Yeah.
I need to double check with like SecDef. My man's like,
No,
this came from SecDef. Just do it.
no. At the moment,
If you don't do it, we're going to take the ship from you. You're going to be removed from your power, and I'm going to just do it. So do it. My man was shook.
hey, when that command came to shut it down, no, my man's head was on swivel like.
Both of their faces was hilarious. The girl was like, oh shit. And dude Joe was like, bet we're not doing this.
Hey,
They look at each other and yeah.
But he went for that
But
other
that's
key.
Right. That's the piece that's important about it, though, is like Gravik made sure that as far as they knew, they was on a real mission to do that.
Yep.
That was the important thing, is you need to know how dedicated they are to actually getting this done. And they started the beginning of the episode with that, with Beto being like, you sure this is gonna work? And it, bruh, you're here because of fate. Like, we gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we do. It's gonna work. We're gonna have to have faith in it. We're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you know what they're up to and what they're gonna do, and how serious he is about convincing my man, like, nah, you gotta flip that switch. That's what they said. Come on, let's go. Let's do it. they're upset that it got aborted. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then he catches her. They needed to feel like it was really a thing.
And like, so crisis avoided. You and the ship.
Matter of fact, just to mention, when Talos made the call to Gaia to get the information, he did tell her, like, roll out, like, leave now, like, get away.
You
like,
go. This is the one.
We're blown. We're blown at this point.
Get out.
Yeah.
And he related to her. And as soon as he did that, I was like, oh, this ain't gonna happen. This ain't gonna work out very good.
So I said the words out loud. Oh, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Soon as he made the call and she took the little joint out of her pocket and like looked at it sideways and stepped off, I said, that's a wrap. This ain't gonna work.
Yep.
It ain't gonna happen.
She's gonna be blown after this. Yeah.
But she did her best in her power to get low. Things were looking okay. She got out on a motorcycle. She was making a move. We got past like the one little check-in station. It was nobody there. That should have been red flag, like straight up. Because I feel like that joint's mad.
Dark, spooky forest at night
all the time. She's making her way, and it's like, she thinks she's home free. Headlights turn on in front of her. Derails her, of course. It's Gravik in the car. Like, dude has had his suspicions, and this was the one that he had to make sure and figure out who the mole was. It was a part of me for maybe about 2 seconds that was like, oh, he's just going to take her back and use her as some form of leverage against Talos. But
I think he was, because he said to her, well, he said turn around, and then when he said it, I thought he was saying it to her like go back because he was going to take her hostage or something like that. And then she was like, nah, look me in the face.
I was like,
all right.
Pop. And I was like, oh, he shot her. So I'm just like, okay, he's just gonna pick her up and carry her out. Nah, he put her down because she turned back to the Skrull. She was dead. The moment that happened,
I don't think she's dead.
I don't believe she's dead either for a second.
I don't think she's dead.
Not for a second.
Do you think that's a play? Do you think that's a play too?
Bro, it's called trailers. I
didn't watch it. See, I haven't watched that new one.
Well, when I watched the one yesterday during the show, I'm just saying there's scenes I haven't seen yet. Now we know Marvel does their thing with trailers, but not enough to me to believe this one. Like, nah, she's not dead. Next episode,
it just was like it was too quick.
Yeah,
and she changed back so fast, and it's like throughout this entire episode, like Nick just shooting people. Like listen, 100% dog. When they're infiltrating Bob's house, Nick is just shooting people, and I'm like, you don't know that these people are Skrulls. So like he's shooting them, and you don't even always see it, but you can hear them changing back. Like he shoot one, you hear him change back or whatever. But like I don't know. Like if you knock one of them out, do they change back? If they're unconscious, do they change back? Could it just be that like, sure, when they die they change back, but like, what does it really take? You know what I'm saying, to make that happen? If you hold one and you choke them out till they can't breathe, but you don't kill them, but clearly, clearly they can go to sleep and stay in their form. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't have to, but who knows, right? But there's a part of me that felt like she got hit and chose to change. Clearly I could be wrong, but it doesn't feel right to me. I don't feel, again, if she's dead, we about to see a brand new Talos.
Hey, that dude.
Bro, what? Yeah, he gonna go off.
We about to see a brand new Talos. Like, he lost his wife to the joint, okay, but I mean,
he already told Graham, he was like, don't say her name.
Well, they reiterated that point in this episode with him and his love for his daughter. So I don't believe she's dead. But if she is, yeah.
Ooh, boy.
Talos is going to be, his threat level is going to go up pretty high.
Super Scroll or not, Taylor's gonna put them hands on my man.
The fact that he just, the other thing again, like he just shot her and drove away. So like,
Right.
you just left the joint. You just left the joint in the middle. Something ain't right.
Yeah.
Why did he
She's
drive
She's
away?
not dead. I refuse
It
to
ain't
believe
right. Some gotta give. So, I don't know. I don't feel right about that. But continue though.
Dig it. So for at least for what it looks like on screen, she's dead. So
Sure.
obviously, I'm sure we're gonna see some stuff in the next episode for it. But in our last part of the episode, we flip camera and we go back to, I guess we can say, the Fury residence. I guess we can call it.
Call it that. Yep. Call it that.
His wife gets a call, and this is one of those that like this is like you need to get low, like you need to do this thing or whatever. Like she left and she clearly was on a mission. Goes to what I'm assuming is a bank. Safe deposit boxes, of course, all in there. We take out.
She's being watched.
She's clearly being watched. Don't know exactly who has it. Clearly, I'm guessing they're Skrulls. But as to which side said Skrulls are, we don't know. But when she gets into the room, there is the banker that gives her safe deposit box. For a second, my man was just going to stand there while she opens said safe deposit box, but he finally read the I
read the room.
I'll give you a minute. And she opens up her box. I don't know, typical. Once I saw the manila envelope that was in the shuffle.
Manila folder.
There you go. That jump.
My brain had to buffer real quick.
Well, when we saw that,
Doesn't maintain being a scroll dog.
hey, that's it. But it's something that, and then I was like, oh, that has a gun in it. Like, there's just something about that and the gun being in the folder. So she pulls that out, and I'm like, is this for defense? That because I can only imagine if there was the Fury residence, I would imagine there's guns probably hidden all throughout that place.
Right.
Like
In the
that
pantry.
you would have.
Yeah.
That you would have to go get it out of a safe deposit box. So I'm whatever. But she gets it, and then she makes a call. And I'm guessing this is obviously Gravik's right-hand man. I forget his name. Dude, and she's like, listen, I need to talk to Gravik. And he tells her, like, nah, deal with me. And just hangs up. But clearly there's some
You talking about she was talking to Slim on the phone when she made the call
yeah.
from inside the safe deposit room.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, that wasn't a pink flip phone. That's one.
Yeah.
Second of all, dog, that was Rhodey. That was Rhodey's voice on the phone.
Oh,
Here goes Sin, checking my work.
Hold
Bruh,
up.
Listen to that.
Hold. It's not checking your work. Is that I didn't catch on to that. I need to go see it.
I didn't catch that actually either.
It's not checking your work. So
I feel you.
That's never it.
Hey,
It's
Slim,
just I didn't catch
do
it.
it. No, please
Well,
listen
Sin,
to it.
in this case, please check this work right now because I need to
Listen
test
to it,
Rhodey's
bro.
voice.
That was Rhodey. And I was like, I just got up, walked away. Now I don't know. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means, hey, protect yourself, such and such is going down. I don't know if that means, hey, he's known the whole time. I don't know if that means, yep, Slim certainly is a Skrull. Because she's like, let me speak to Gravik. Nope, you got me. Look at him listening.
No, I'm trying to. All right, hold on. She got the gun. I didn't turn it upside here.
Turn it up.
All right, she's grabbing the phone.
Walk us through it.
Ho. Jokes.
Sir?
That sounds like Rhodey, bro.
Sir.
Now that he said it, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it
play
again.
this joint. Hey, Gage, you don't watch the joint with subtitles. Did it say like?
No, it did not. I always watch with subtitles. No, it did not say it was Rhodey.
So either yes, Rhodey's a Skrull, or she's been working for Rhodey under Nick's nose. You've been gone for 5 years.
She asked to talk to Gravik.
So I don't know whose phone that is she's calling, because clearly who? Oh God.
Hey,
Hey,
Sin.
look, bro.
I said I'm at like an 8.
Now, now I gotta slide that scale 5 points, bro. And join you at an 8. I did not peep that, but that definitely sounds like Rhodey.
Sound like Rhodey to me, bro.
And if that's Rhodey, that's revisiting our is he a Skrull discussion.
But like again, she was like, I want to talk to Gravik,
Right.
and he's like, you dealing with me. So that feels like, my man is on the inside of the inside threat.
Yeah, he put on Nick Fury. Put an old school Nick Fury.
For all we know, Rhodey done put S.H.I.E.L.D. back together or some other variation type thing, and it's been working in the dark.
Hey, listen.
And we don't know what this thing is within the government. We don't know like what his official title is.
This dude's a ghost in the government.
Man got a whole movie of his own coming, bro. So they gotta tell me something.
Yeah, is this
I'm
the
aware.
one we start?
And again, if he is, and he has been for a long time, that means they have his body somewhere. And again,
Yes.
it's part of why I think it's so important about that. They show Gaia go into the room, go through Slim's memories and all that or whatever, like they can just access. So certainly
I thought
they
about
could
that.
have Rhodey's body. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere. And we know, look, like, if you looked at the trailers, they're going to have a fight. Like, Fury is coming to that place. He's coming there. He walks to that gate where they introduced Beto in the first episode or whatever. He walks up to that gate, and it clearly looks like when you see Gravik go Super Skrull with the stretchy arm, like that's where they are. Which means they have to get there, and at some point that means they're going to try to liberate these people who have been under their control or whatever for however long. So if it turns out that Rhodey is there, and like I said last time, if Rhodey is going to wake up and find out that Iron Man is dead,
Yeah, like how long? Like how long has he been there?
How long he been
Yeah.
a rat? That like people got dusted and that like
That would be nuts.
How long he's been there? Yeah.
Who knows? And Armor Wars could certainly be about him feeling like he needs to take up where
Tony left off.
you know, again, where Tony left off. Like I have access to the suit. The suit's been used for so many things. It has been passed around. I Am Patriot and you know all this other kind of stuff and government control. And it's like they all are things that if you really go back and look at Rhodey's history, could certainly have been things that he might have worked to allow the government to have or to use or you know whatever, even as a Skrull. So I don't know, bruh. I don't know, but I'm telling you, that joint sounded like Rhodey to me, bruh.
It did. Go back and listen to it for yourself, Joe. Make your own decision. But that sounds like Rhodey on the phone, bro.
Was that early? I watched it.
I was with you in my until just now, Joe. I was with you like, oh, that was his man, you know, calling, but nah, that wasn't his voice, bro. That wasn't his voice.
Ooh, buddy. Okay, so it's time for a rewatch. I mean,
he said I ain't playing no games tonight. I gotta go rewatch this.
I didn't quite say that.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's gonna get watched again. But so I think we're good. Sin, it sounds like you're now from your 7.5 up to an 8.
Yeah, that. After this conversation, like we usually do, things shift, things change. I'm back up to an 8. I was sitting somewhere like I said, that 7.5, 7, 8, kind of just somewhere in the middle. Yeah, with that right there that pushed me to 8. Yeah, that little extra was enough to slide me over to 8. Yeah.
It's all around the room. I dig it.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. 8. Anything else?
I just can't wait till next week. That's it. I just can't wait till next week. Yeah. Like that right there just make like I was already looking for like, all right, there's answers we're gonna get from a lot of things that happen next week. So my mindset was, all right, next week's episode was when this episode's rating might change because we'll get answers and yada yada. Nah, I'm ready for next week. I'm ready for next week.
Dig it. You guys heard it. 8's all around the room. This has been your Spoiler Boys for episode 3 of Secret Invasion.
Betrayal.
Dog, like, I still don't know who we can fully trust. Like,
No point.
It's no point. Just at this point, we're just gonna take it. Double crosses and everything is gonna happen. I'm all for it. I'm just hoping we got 3 episodes in the books, 3 episodes left. Just like you said, Gage, there's no way they solve this whole entire thing by the end of this show. This has got to spill over. But we're gonna come back and we're gonna go through the rest of these episodes. Next week, we're probably gonna come back and damn it, everybody's gonna be a screw. But for the homie Sin, for the homie Gage, this is Jokes. That's been your Spoiler Boys for episode 3. We will catch you next week, same time, same place, for our review of episode 4. We will catch you later.
Loading snacks.